Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Our guest today is the founder of the Energy for Life Academy, and she's also a holistic life coach for women. For over 10 years, she has been helping professional women transform their burnout, stress, and overwhelm into new power and vitality. And today, she's going to show you how to breathe to heal. Would you please put your hands together and help us welcome to the Mental Detox podcast our good friend, Corona Brady. Welcome.
Welcome, Corona. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much. What a gorgeous welcome.
Well, in 2020, with a name like Corona, everybody's going to remember you.
Yes. It's not a good time to have this name.
Well, I did bring my mask because I was being extra protective here.
Yep.
But I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who want the coronavirus.
Yeah.
When I joined cabin crew, they actually give you a shot for yellow fever. They give you an injection for yellow fever, and it's proof that the injection never worked.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So, Corona, I have a question here for you. Is that how we talk about today's topic? How did you cope with your burnout and stress? And then what's the differences that you see in yourself now and compare before?
Sure. Yeah. Gosh, I really know about all the burnouts, because I've actually experienced them all and I've really lived through all of them. And I think many people just think that burnout is on a physical level, but it's not. You have physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. There's marriage burnout. There's post-holiday burnout. There's work burnout. And I really experienced all of them and lived through them. But I hit rock bottom in my own life about 13 years ago. I was working in corporate banking at the time, and I was just so disconnected. I was really unhappy. I wasn't in a job that was soul satisfying. I knew that I was here to just do more. I knew that I had something else to give, to be of service. And I was just caught up with all of these kind of distracting, numbing band-aids, drinking too much, overworking, over-exercising. There's actually exercise burnout, which I got as well. This is like working out in the gym or running too much and getting to the point where you just are physically burnt out. So yeah, I was kind of left with two choices. I could soldier on as I had been, or I could reassess my life. And that's when I chose to take the second step and reassess my life. And that was about 13 years ago. And I really went on a journey for a number of years. I worked with naturopaths and different healers, and I even had my own life coach and therapist, and just went on my own journey and was able to get myself off medication. I was told at the time that I would be on medication for the rest of my life because I was literally on the verge of diabetes. I had been diagnosed.
Isn't it interesting? I've just got to make a comment there.
Yeah.
That the doctor starts to predict people's futures. You're going to be on this for the rest of your life. It's like a negative embedded hypnotic command.
Exactly.
That's not the purpose of the medication, is it? So you're on it for life.
No, but that happens to so many people, right? And yeah, I just chose to challenge that. I was like, no way, I'm not going to be on medication for the rest of my life. The medication itself was actually making me physically sick. And so I took that journey of personal healing and I empowered myself, and that kind of took me to the place that I am today. And I've been, working with and empowering professionals now for 10 years. Can't believe it's been a whole decade. And if I really compare who I am today to who I was 13 years ago, oh my God, like I was just a shell of my existence, 13 years ago. I was so disconnected. I really had no relationship with myself. I was just so disconnected. I was anxious, depressed, and just living in fear and making decisions from fear on a daily basis, and was just really dissatisfied and very reactive. So reacting to everything and everyone in my environment.
Corona, you're using the word disconnect.
Yes.
And I've heard you mention that a couple of times, and I've heard a lot of women mention this as well. What does disconnect feel like? Can you articulate that for us?
Yeah. Disconnect is, it feels like, what is the best way that I can share this? it just feels like you're empty. You feel so empty. There's just this emptiness inside. And then from that space of disconnect and emptiness, you just feel lost. It's like you've just kind of been, maybe you've, like for me, at that point when I reached burnout, I had done everything that society said to do, and it will bring you success and it will make you happy, but I wasn't happy. And I was...
Interesting that, isn't it? What society tells you.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of people, I went through the same thing. I thought I had to buy a house that was going to make me successful.
Yeah.
I bought that, and all I did was work all the time.
Yeah, that's it.
Have all this money coming in and going out, and
then you can't even spend it, right? Or you're not enjoying it.
And there was no freedom, and I was actually getting further away from what I wanted.
Yeah.
And eventually, what happened? I was feeling burnout, and I put a backpack on my back and headed over to Ireland.
Ireland. Really?
Which part of Ireland are you from?
I'm from Cavan, so it's about an hour from Dublin, heading north.
Okay, well, I started over on the west coast, and I started
beautiful.
in Limerick City.
I've got a lot of family from Limerick. My mother's from Limerick.
I went over there and I took a job on a dairy farm, and I lasted 10 hours. and I ran away and ended up down in Cork, down the south.
Yeah.
It's like you've got that spark back in your eye, the smiles back.
Yeah.
We've come through this, so we know that there's light on the other side. In your opinion, what are some of the fears that women are going through right now during whilst they're experiencing burnout? And I believe that in a time of COVID-19, this is going to be heightened because, part of the isolation, part of being surrounded by, the noise of the family, etc. What feelings and what fears are they going to go through right now?
I think, this is such a beautiful opportunity right now. This is such a gift that we've been given, where the whole world is just, we've been given this opportunity to just stop, to pause. And I think it was needed because life's just so busy. And I guess what I see time and time again with the professionals I support is that they're just always on, always busy, caught in distractions, can't stop. And so, yes, right now, this will be very uncomfortable for many, because you will be required to stop. And for many, it's pretty scary because maybe they've never had space before to actually just be and to actually feel what is there, because many of us are so disconnected from our feelings and our emotions. And so I think what might be happening for some right now is they might be maybe turning to distractions, and some of these self-sabotaging distractions during this time is maybe using alcohol, drinking too much, because of the discomfort that's sitting there, and what's being asked of them to actually sit and feel. So I think probably the fears that many women might be experiencing right now is the fear of these intense emotions that are coming up. And what I have, for me, even personally in my own life, just in this space and hearing from some of my other clients, is feelings of grief coming up. And they're wondering where this grief is from. And it's grief from things that ended in their life, but they never had the opportunity back then to sit and be with that emotion. So now when we have this space to pause, those feelings and emotions are coming up and they're being asked to sit with and feel them.
There's an old saying, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And what I know is a lot of people, they have the fear of the fear.
Yeah.
And they experience the fear indirectly.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned, they sit around and they fear that fear.
Yeah.
And I've seen in the past, people get totally engrossed in their careers. They get totally engrossed in their business, and they use the business as another vice.
Yeah, I did it. Yeah, I did it at one point. I did it with my work. It was just a distraction. So I was just overworking.
It's crazy. Now, for our friends and followers out there who are going through times of stress right now, they're going through burnout. you talk about breathing to heal. Now, this is one of my favorite breathing photos here. And
I hope it's not this one.
we used to get people to do this on the aircraft when they were experiencing panic. And look, that's a little bit of fun, but you've got a specific method. I believe it's a 5-step method to help people through times like this. So what advice could you share to help them get through these times?
Yeah, I think the first step is really what's really important right now is rituals and self-care. This is so crucial. But learning like basic self-care rituals and routines that you can do from the comfort of your own home, because how you're choosing to start your day is actually how the rest of the day is going to flow and follow through. If you're getting up and the first thing you go to is your mobile phone, you're straight away going into sympathetic, that fight or flight. And what are you doing? You're filling your mind with fear. You're filling your mind with all of this hype that's in the media right now. So the best thing that you could do is actually go to your yoga mat and start some breathing. There's a really powerful breathing technique that I teach a lot of my clients, and it's called Breath of Fire. And it is just wonderful. It's, 3 minutes. You don't even need to be sitting there for hours. This is the power of the technology of Kundalini Yoga. It can shift your state in as quick as 3 minutes. So I think rituals are really, really crucial during this time. Having a positive way to start your day, but also having a positive way to wind down. So instead of turning to the bottle of wine or glass of wine because that's your coping strategy to de-stress, or you feel like you need a reward after the day, have something more supportive.
maybe having bubble tea.
When you said that, I laughed. It was one of my mates. He loves to drink beer, and he was always rewarding himself with the beer.
Yeah,
I remember he'd do it like 10 o'clock in the morning. He'd be like, "I just got a great wave. It's time for a beer." I'm like, "Bro, it's 10 a.m. in the morning." He's like, "Well, you got to reward your good efforts." I looked at him and said, "It's 10 o'clock." He's like, "Yeah, but I had a good surf." Now, for people who want to learn more about your work and the great things that you're doing, you've got a beautiful website, and
thank you.
I love your photo there, Corona.
Thank you.
People can start to head over to coronabrady.com. Now, if they want to reach out to you personally, what's the best way to reach out to you personally?
Yeah, so you can email me anytime. I get back to every single email that lands in my inbox, and you can contact me at hello@coronabrady.com. I check every single email. There's lots of free resources on my website. When you jump on, you can watch a free webinar. It's very practical. I share the 5 steps to beat burnout, and you'll walk away with some really practical tips that you can implement straight away. You'll even do that breath of fire with me on the webinar. And then there's also my podcast show, Energy for Life, and loads of free resources on my website.
Wonderful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, head over to coronabrady.com right now and make sure you make the most of those free resources whilst you have the time. Really important that you implement those success habits today. So, Corona, thank you so much for joining us, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Happy Easter. Bye-bye.